Hi guys, Merlin here, bringing you another Dungeons and Dragons adventure video, and the collection is about to hit its first 10th issue, so there's the prospect of 80 issues, though I'm hearing a lot of things of people saying it probably won't make that. We'll just have to see how the collection shapes up. I know a lot of it for people is there's too many dice at the moment. They really want something a bit more from a Dungeons and Dragons collection. But we're not here to moan, we're here to take a look through today, and today we're looking at issue 9. So, fantastic new issue. We start our first two-parter adventure. We have, of course, that adventure. We learn how to run a dungeon session, so a nice bit of few pages for the DM. We learn about the goblins, a fallen dwarven hold, and we also learn about the bard, ready for our brand new character sheet. So yeah, we got a forest gnome who's a bard, and yeah, might see her in some future games, and we are getting a standee for her in issue 13, I think. So yeah, pretty cool. And yeah, we also get in this issue our third tin of dice. Lovely glittery red set, pretty cool, nice silver letters. So yeah, we'll take a closer look at those on the table in just a sec, but yeah, that's pretty much all there is. So all we have to do is to say a big thank you to everyone who's watching the video. Thank you all very much. I'm enjoying making this content. I'm hoping you're enjoying watching it. Still have plenty yet to come for December. I have some unboxings I want to do. I have some classic White Dwarf reviews I want to do. And I'm still aiming to try and get a solo playthrough for some of the starting adventures in D&D. Just got a few more things I need to work out and download, and I'll be ready. So finally then, don't forget to do all the usual: like, comment, subscribe, and of course drop a comment down below, and of course check the links in the video description. Yeah, right, let's jump over to the table and we'll take a look through issue 9. So here we are then with issue 9, and we got a lovely set of nice red glittery silver dice. We of course have our issue here, so yeah, we discover a lot about the bard, movement and senses, and we learn about goblins, plus a little bit of background information for the Dungeon Master there. And we even have a brand new character to play. So we got a Forest Gnome Bard, who's a folk hero background. So we'll take a closer look at the character sheet in just a sec. So first off then, I think we'll get out our new set of dice and give them a roll. Right. So we have the usual tin with the D&D Adventurer logo there, and nice to see this one isn't scuffed in the corner. So I think it is just a one-off sort of thing. And yeah, we got a plastic shield. So that will come in handy for model building, for making some glass. But yeah, here we have our dice, and as you can see, they have a nice glitter effect, silver lettering, and yeah, nice clear, sort of a cherry red, I guess. Yeah, it's a little darker on camera, but it's, yeah, definitely more of a lighter red looking at it in person. So let's get all of these out and knock the camera. And we'll give them a jolly good rolling. Well, not the best of rolls. We got 3 5s here, D20, D12 and a D6. A 4, an 8, a 10 and a 1. Not too bad, I suppose. Let's try them again though, see if we get a better result. That's a little better. I've just realised I've actually got 2 proper D10s, not a D100 and a D10. If anyone watching this has a 2 D100s and want to swap one, let me know. I might even contact Hachette and see if they can offer me a replacement set. Not that I'm too bothered. Yeah, not much of a better roll. D4 was better, D12 was better, and the 2 D10s are better. Yeah, pretty good. But I just like these for the nice literary effect. And yeah, I'm sure someone will enjoy playing with these lovely little red dice. So we'll put them away and we'll take a look through our new character sheet and we'll dive through issue 9. So here's our new character sheet then. So Ekrin Tripletoll, a Forest Gnome Bard. She's a folk hero, so she's pretty well known for herself. So we got our usual blank spaces for alignment and our player name. We got our inspiration marker there to fill in as well. So it has an armor class of 13, +2 to initiative, as she's pretty quick on her feet. The quickness on her feet is only 25 feet maximum speed, normal due to her size. Hit point total is 8. Empty temporary hit points as usual. Hit dice is 1d8. Then she's got her weapons, so a dagger and a rapier. So she has some quite finesse sort of type weapons. She's good on dexterity and charisma, being proficient in both. Acrobatics, animal handling, perception and survival she's proficient in as well. And yeah, so her stats, she's only strength 8 with a -1 modifier. Dexterity strength is 14 with a +2 modifier. Constitution is 11, so +0. Intelligence is 13, +1. Wisdom 12, and Charisma 18 with the +4 bonus there. She has a passive wisdom of 13 for perception attempts. Pretty cool. And her other proficiencies are labelled here. Languages, Gnomish and Common. Tools, she's good at carpenter tools, hand drum, a lute, a pan flute, and land vehicles. 10 gold pieces, and her starting equipment there. And she's got her personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws as well listed. So her personality traits, if someone is in trouble, I'm always ready to lend help. So she's a very helpful person. And she has her other special features here. So dark vision, gnome cunning, natural illusionist, speak with small beasts, bardic inspiration, and spellcasting. If we flip over, we can see her basic cantrips and her first level spells. So colour spray, dissonant whispers, healing word, and Tasha's hideous laughter as her first level spells. And she's got message, minor illusion, and vicious mockery as her cantrips there. So she's 102, has blue eyes, 3 foot 5 inches tall, so she's a small creature, weighs 40 pounds, has orange hair and a brownish skin tone there. And we can see a lovely picture of her there. I'll zoom in a bit to make it clearer. yeah, there she is with her lute and her little drum, and even her rapier along the back of her in a scabbard there. So pretty cool. And we got her level 2 sheet as well, so not much different. Her hit point total has gone up by 5. She now has 2 hit dice instead of the usual 1. +3 to her initiative now. And yeah, pretty much everything is the same, but she now has colour spray as a spell, and she's lost one of her cantrips there, so she's lost minor illusion. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Nice new character for us to try out in our games. It's good to giving us the level 1 and level 2 character sheet, meaning we can take her back to the early adventures if we want to gain a bit of experience with her and see how the Bard class plays out. Right then, let's start looking at our actual issue. I'll zoom out again so I can get it all in shot. Move the light a bit. There we go. Right. So, Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer Issue 9. So, our full contents, we have Adventure 1, Mission 9, Deadknock Mine, Part 1. Sage advice, so we learn movement and senses in our overview, and the DM, we learn about how to run a dungeon adventure. Character creation, then, we have Bard, plus the features of first and second level. Lore for monsters, we got goblins and factions. The Kingdom of Delzun. So with this issue, we get a new set of dice to use in our games, plus we have a brand new character sheet. And yeah, you can choose to switch out one of our other characters, which there's some nice information later on in the magazine about how to swap in and out of characters. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, usual QR code there, and that's it. So let's start looking through movement. So, part 1 of movement. A party's ability to travel over long distances depends on the speed they travel and the types of the environment. So we've learnt about our movement in combat and what our speed will be dependent on. So this is usually race, size, sometimes class, etc. But not so, despite the name of the game, not every adventure takes place in the dungeons. We, of course, have seen stuff like forests mentioned before, cities, and even the wide open plains of Vandalin and the Sword Coast. So yeah, it's details that sometimes it's up to the DM how they detail the travel between locations. Sometimes it might be worth going in depth. Sometimes, if you're just looking to quickly speed up the action, it's often an idea just to give a quick one sentence saying your trip went without a hitch and you arrived at your destination safely. One thing to consider when your party is moving is marching order. It's important to have your scouts up at the front. In the middle, you want your weaker characters for protection. So even your foragers and map makers, etc. And at the rear, you want your characters who have a good perception, able to keep an eye out for pursuers. We see here a party You've got a elven bard up the front, a dwarf pulling a cart with a halfling on, and a human cleric bringing up the rear. So, travel pace then. So, your speed is the distance you can walk in a single round. So, this depends upon various different factors. So, if you move at a fast pace, you can cover a total distance of 400 feet a minute. This is 4 miles an hour and 30 miles in a day, though you do have a -5 penalty to your passive wisdom checks, as you are focused mainly on moving. Moving at normal speed, you can cover a distance of 300 feet a minute, which equates to 3 miles an hour and 24 miles in a day. There's no effect as you are at full awareness. And slow, you can cover a distance of 200 feet a minute, 2 miles an hour, or 18 miles a day. And you are able to use stealth as you are a bit more aware of your surroundings and moving at a slower pace. So, roughly, it's assumed there's an 8-hour travel period in each day. On a forced march, you can go beyond this, but you do run the risk of hitting exhaustion, which we covered in the previous issue. So there are various different things to consider, such as difficult terrain, which might reduce your speed and the distance you can actually cover in set time frames. So as we see here, they're trekking through the snow, which slows them down quite considerably. And we see here a sneaky guy scaling a wall with some spiky boots to help them climb. Moving on, we look at senses. So, seeing is believing, so is hearing, smelling, echolocating, and tremor sensing. So, one of the most common phrases you'll hear during a D&D session is make a perception check. This is, of course, how we discern the world around us, and is the important stat for our characters to figure out what's happening. So, yeah, passive perception players don't always have to make the wisdom. A DM can check against passive wisdom for a character to determine whether they successfully pass and discover something. And then we start looking at some of the abilities here that are additional senses. So, dark vision, which we've encountered before on quite a few of our character sheets. Characters can see a lot better in dim light than other characters can normally. Blind sight is those that have an ability to see even in the pitch black, usually not by seeing and by sensing movement, etc. Tremor sense allows, usually saved for monsters, are ones that can detect the movement of creatures by the tremors they make as they walk across the ground. And true sight, usually the ultimate super sense, only usable by the likes of dragons, etc. This allows them to even perceive the hidden planes and also detect if a creature has shapeshifted. So yeah, pretty cool coverage there for us to learn. Moving on then, so we got a page for the DM, and this is Dungeon Adventures. Adventurers find themselves venturing beneath the surface for many reasons. Routing an evil cult from a sunken stronghold, exploring a cave system for treasure, or seeking the wisdom of a reclusive creature in its subterranean lair. As Dungeon Master, you'll need to be clued up on the many threats and complications these environments have to offer. So yeah, we got a nice little top tip here. So it's worth, before you dive into a long underground adventure, that you give players the chance to stock up supplies, making sure they got enough food and water rations, as well as equipment. So it's often a good idea to introduce a wandering NPC. So they mention here you could either have a kobold with a cart, a wandering hermit with a collection of curiosities, or even just a wandering merchant there. But yeah, this goes into explaining plenty about how to set up a dungeon adventure, how to help prepare your players for diving into the depths. Remember that most underground adventures will be limited on light, so you want to make sure you have someone who has torches or a spell that can cast light and help you see your way through the dark. It's important to consider food and water, so as I mentioned previously, it's a good idea to make sure you are well stocked. You'll need a gallon of water a day to survive underground, and you will also need, it's a pound of food a day, which equates to 1 to 2 rations. If these run low, you will require a character with the forage skill to help find suitably edible wild foods. There are plenty of other considerations. You might want to consider your players' levels, their skills, etc. How well you need to make them test for setting off alarms, etc. And also consider how sound might move through the claustrophobic locations of the dungeons. So it's important to keep your game moving. If you want to, you can freely forget about food and drink if you feel it too cumbersome. But it's always good to enjoy the full side of the roleplay. Right, moving on to our brand new class, and we're looking at the Bard. So we have a top tip here, which I mentioned about earlier. If you'd like to play the Bard, feel free to swap in your characters. Just tell the DM that your existing character wishes to leave and will be replaced with your new character. It's always important to roleplay your character leaving a party, just to let them know what's happening, and it won't feel so forced. You might also want to make sure that you want to let the DM know that your character might return in the future, so you want to leave it as a pretty open event of leaving. So yeah, here we have the Bard. So with their love of song and stories, Bards are D&D's most entertaining class. So if music be the food of love, as a very famous bard once wrote, then in the realms of Faerun, it can also be the fuel that keeps adventuring parties from the brink of defeat, and power them towards even greater victories. So we had a little bit about bards, like bardic inspiration, and yeah, the bards are the minstrels, storytellers, circus acts that entertain the various worlds and cities. So yeah, Bard taps into the weave, usually through their particular talent, be it music, song and dance, stories, or other forms of artistry. So bards are often well versed in the laws of the worlds. Nothing attracts a bard more than a great story, or even better, being part of said great story. So bards are jacks of all trades. They're able to call on sheer breadth of skills and able to enhance their fellow adventurers. So yeah, many bards can be healers, can create deceptions, and even cast a spell on people, as we see here in just a sec. So some people find themselves pretty naturally skilled as a bard, but most often they will tend to attend a college. So yeah, there's plenty of these around. College of New Oleman, located in the spectral sea-facing cliffs of Mount Waterdeep. The College of the Herald is great lore house of Herald's Holdfast, and the esteemed College of Folklucan in Silvery Moon, whose focus is teaching lore. So yeah, plenty of colleges around to help expand your bardic knowledge. Speaking of bardic knowledge, let's start taking a look at the features of a bard. So we've got the first and second level features to look at. So, these gifted entertainers weave magic into their performances and inspire fellow party members to great success. Or, as we see here, not so great success. As we have a dragonborn bard turning a gentleman to stone, just as he seems to have wooed a beautiful young lady there. But yeah, bards are gifted poets, storytellers and entertainers who enjoy travelling far and wide and entertaining people with their craft. They are wizards. They can bend the threads of the weave via their various skills, so dancing, music, etc. They have quite a vast range of spells. They know 2 cantrips and have a selection of spells that they can choose. So bards learn 4 first level spells and can choose to cast one of these by expending one of their 2 level 1 spell slots. So yeah. They're charismatic spellcasters, so we use the charisma stat to be our spellcasting buff stat. So we want to make sure we put a good amount of points into our charisma, as it's going to be quite important for us later on. So bard spells sometimes will require a hit roll. In this case, we add our proficiency bonus plus our charisma modifier. As we can see, our pre-generated bard, Ekrin, has a charisma score of 18 with a +4 modifier. So yeah, she's going to be hitting quite easily in most of her melee. So example here, she rolls a D20 and adds 6 to determine if she hits the target in the combat there. Yeah. Finally then, bardic inspiration, as we've covered before. This gives a extra bit of boost to another party member, giving them an extra D6 to add to their hit or saving rolls. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You choose when you do use it, but once it's gone, it's gone. And I believe once a new round starts, the bard can choose to inspire another person, and the previous person will lose that inspiration. Yeah. Moving on then to second level. So these experienced performers improve their skills and speed in combat while also helping to heal injured comrades. We see a halfling here playing her flute and bewildering a rather pesky travelling merchant who wants to sell her something that she doesn't necessarily want or need. So looking at second level then, they have a rich history going back to the origins of the game. In order to become a bard in the early days, you had to prove yourself proficient by mastering skills as a fighter, a thief, and a druid. Now you can choose to become a bard from the get-go. So bards are jack-of-all-trade characters. They have excellent proficiency skills, so you get to choose. But for our pre-generated character, she has animal handling, survival, and deception. Plus, as she has the folklore background, she has 2 extra skills, which are acrobatics and perception. She also adds her proficiency bonus to these skills for a +2. And yeah, she gets extra skills as she levels up. So she's a very handy little character. So Song of Rest Any character who doubts the healing power of music hasn't truly listened to a bard perform. So at second level, bards can use their music and melodies to help heal their teammates. Friendly creatures who choose to spend one or more of these hit dice to regain hit points at the end of a short rest get a boost to their healing, as long as they can obviously hear the performance at play. So yeah, gaining an extra 1d6 of hit points when you heal is pretty cool. Bards are pretty quick on their feet and have a higher plus bonus to their initiatives, and also any dexterity checks they are asked to make. At a second level, of course, we have our usual hit point. So it'll be 1d8 worth of extra hit points, but we've took the average score of 5 on Ekrin there. Alright, moving on to our lore, we learn about goblins. Goblins are often an adventurer's first cunning foe. Shunted to the edge of society, these creatures aren't afraid to kill to survive. So yeah, if you're familiar with any fantasy game, you've probably come across goblins as a species. Be it the goblins of Moria, or even the goblins of Goblin Town from the Middle-earth films. But goblins are vicious no matter what setting they tend to be. As it mentions, they were shunned and considered not so civilized creatures. This was all part to do with the worship of the warrior god Maglubiet. So yeah, she was they used to worship a queen of air and darkness, one of the Feywild's Archfey. They thrived in the dangerous domains, but were kicked out eventually when Maglubiet's rise to power came. They were banished to the material realm and are often shunned from society and will spend most of their time underground. Goblinkin and the Wargs. So when Maglubiet conquered the goblins and drove them from the Feywilds, they came to our plane. They became well versed in taming the wargs, which are wolf-like creatures, very intelligent and able to even learn to speak the goblin language. There are various different types of goblins, so we got I've lost it, where is it? There's the hobgoblins, and there's even the bugbears. There we go. So yeah. So a goblin's battle tactics are usually quick, nimble, and hitting without being seen. So they have the ambush skill, getting a +6 bonus to dexterity checks as well as perception. If there's no characters with a decent passive wisdom of value, then they get the ability to use their surprise ability, which will be covered in a future article. Goblins are skirmishers. They're able to disengage and hide pretty quickly as a bonus action. So they'll often pop out from cover, hit an enemy, and dive into fresh cover. They have the ability to hide, so they're nimble. They can pop out from cover, make a bow attack, and then hide again, all in one action. So yeah, they're not the easiest of things to pin down, and they can often, they are akin to their fighting in their narrow environments, such as dungeons, even cave networks, where there are small passages that not many normal folk can get through, but a thin goblin can. Nilbogs are a subclass of goblin. It's actually goblins backwards. So yeah, a Nilbog is goblin spelled backwards. Creatures that have a rather mischievous spirit. They're akin to jesters. And yeah, they have formed from fragments of their ancient trickster god. And yeah, they're sort of the healers, and they like to wear bright colours, and yeah, as you can see, very jester-like. Finally then, before our adventure, we have the Dwarven Kingdom of Delzoun. The famed North Kingdom was the ancient seat of Dwarven power. So if you ask any dwarf, any shield dwarf of the northern reaches of Faerun about their proudest moment in their people's history, they will most likely tell you about the Kingdom of Delzoun. So, yeah, known as the North Kingdom, it was one of the greatest dwarf nations for close to 4,000 years, stretching all the way from the Ice Mountains in the north to the Nether Mountains in the south. Deep beneath these was Gauntlegrim, an imposing and magnificent capital. So, yeah, much like all dwarven holds, it was home to many adventurers, crafters, and artisans. So, yeah. We've got a nice coverage here. It covers many of the different sub-cities within Delzoun, such as Sundabar, Adbar, Everfire. Yeah. Today, much of the storied history of Delzoun is enshrined in Ballad of the Dirge Delzoun, epic tale that takes about 30 hours to perform in full. But yeah. It's a lost capital, so no dwarven city has ever been grander than Gauntlegrim. Designed to harness the power of the primordial, the Delzounian capital was built in the doorways so huge they could even accommodate dragons. Yeah. Nice bit of background about an ancient dwarven city there. And we see here a dwarven king. And we even mentioned a couple of the dwarven gods here. So we got Moradin, the high god, Beranar Truesilver, the goddess of hearth and home, and Dumafoin, the god of mining. So yeah, all in all, pretty good little background information there for fans of the dwarfs. Right, adventure for issue 9. Part 1 of the Deadknock Mine. This encounter is balanced for second level characters. Players can use pre-generated characters or their own. Playtime is 3 to 4 hours. And overview. So the dwarves of the Deadknock Mine disappeared a year ago, lacking any explanation for the disappearance. Phandalin folk believe they abandoned their mine after exhausting its minerals. Earlier today, a messenger bird arrived in Phandalin, bearing a note from the miners asking why their monthly supplies hadn't been delivered. Unknown to all, the dwarves unearthed a grotto under their mountain filled with Zardazil ore, a rare metal with magical properties ideal for use in forging concealed weapons. The grotto existed in a parallel dimension called the Feywild, where time passes differently. For each day the dwarves spent mining the ore, a month passed on the surface. When the miners finally emerged from the grotto, a whole year had gone by in the Forgotten Realms. To compound the miners' problems, a pack of mischievous goblins followed the dwarves from the Feywild, led by a crazed Nilbog. The goblins began preying on the miners, besieged inside their own tool store. Galdebrand's dwarves are too scared to carry out their duties, and the chief is desperate for help. So the goal of this adventure is to help out the dwarves and get rid of the goblins and, of course, the Nilbog leader. So we got our beginning quest where we are sat in the inn and our messenger bird arrives. So we then travel to the mine. Details for the DM to give upon arrival, exploring the mine, features of the mine, and we got the key location starting here. We also have an artwork here of a couple of goblins capturing a poor dwarf, cutting off his lovely beard and hair, and just generally being rather nasty to him. So we got our map here for the mine itself. So our entrance here. Section 1 is the Dwarven Halls. Section 2 is the Foundry, where we got the mine into the lower levels. The tool store, where our dwarves are held up and need to be freed from. Things to mention, so there's the Magical Grotto, Messenger Bird, and the Invaders. And then, of course, there's the mine track here, D4, which goes to the lower level, which we'll get the map for in issue 10. And our stats, so we got a Dwarf Commoner who's used for the dwarves that we find in the tool store. And we got our Goblin Warriors there as well. Whew, there we go. That was a lot to go through. But bring it all in, and I'll give you my final thoughts then on issue 9. So that was issue 9 of Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer. A pretty hefty issue for us to read through. I slowly read it over yesterday. Yeah, there's a lot to take in. Great lot of information, which I really enjoyed. Especially we got some pages for the DM, which I enjoy playing the Dungeon Master at times. And it's nice to have more information to help us give our players the best games they can have. Looking at our brand new character, we had plenty of information on the Bard class. So really handy. Covers all our abilities that the Bard will learn at the first and second level. Nice tutorials helping us learn more about moving in the wider world and how our senses can play in great importance in a game. And yeah, we learn about the Goblin race, pretty nice as usual, and of course that Kingdom of the Dwarfs as well. Yeah, really good issue, plenty of information for us to take in. Really looking forward to future issues. They are definitely getting better as they go on. So we'll see what issue 10 has in store next time. So other things to talk about then are the freebies. So yeah, our dice set, it's another set of dice, but it's a really pretty set, I must admit. Nice cherry red sort of colour. Clear dice with nice glitter effect moulded in. And it looks white on camera, but the lettering is actually silver. So they stand out quite nicely. I'm going to, as I mentioned, email Hachette, see if I can get the correct dice sent to me. But I'm not too bothered. I probably won't be using this set that much. It's a nice set just to look at, I think, for me. I certainly have other sets I'd probably prefer to use more than this. I'm certainly looking forward to any purple dice we might get. But I'm definitely looking forward to the blue ones we start getting from issue 12 onwards. The other freebie then is a pair of character sheets for our brand new hero, Ekrin Tripletoll. So yeah, really cool character. Nice to have a bard. Gives us a choice to change up our characters and play styles. Yeah, she's handy. In my particular group, we have a bard, and we really do a lot better with that character around. But yeah, pretty cool. So like I said, pay first and second level abilities for the character, and a really cool pictorial there of them as well. Yeah, not much else to say really. Looking forward to probably playing out that double adventure. We'll find out the final part of it in issue 10. But yeah, nice 2-part adventure to finish off our first 10 issues as we start moving into adventure 2, which I believe starts in issue 12 when our cover changes. So yeah, we've had 10 issues of this particular cover. I think issue 11 is the last time we see it. Then from 12 onwards we have a brand new cover, which actually features the Dragonborn character we get in issue 14, and also features Ekrin on the cover as well. So that's going to be cool. It's nice that it breaks up sort of the different particular adventure sections, but we can tell which magazine belongs to which section a lot easier, I suppose, if you prefer to rely more on pictorial rather than written information. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say. I've just seen the time, and wow, this is going to be a long issue. Yeah, thank you if you've made it all the way to the end. I won't keep you holding on any longer. See you again next time, and until next time, keep rolling those crits. Thank you and goodbye.